Hi, it's Lou from Christian Faith and Fiction. Today I'm going to share with you some Christian fiction books that I find that are releasing in May. These are books that are listed as Christian fiction on Amazon. If you know of any more, please do leave them down in the comments, and as we're going through, let me know which of these books you think you would like to read in the future. I'm going to be giving you the descriptions of the books and when they're releasing, and show you the cover if you're watching on YouTube. If not, you can see the covers. If you're listening to the podcast, you can go to the blog post that's linked in the description. I have grouped these together in different genres, so feel free to skip to the ones that you are most interested in finding out about. So let's have a look at the ones I found this month. In Mystery and Suspense, Rescued Heart by Lisa Phillips and Megan Besing releases on the 13th of May and is published by Sunrise Publishing. This is Last Chance Fire and Rescue Book 7. Actress Bianca Bia Pearl has finally landed the headlining role that could help leave her scandalous past behind, a role that may even earn back her parents' respect. All she has to do is stick to the script, both on and off camera. Bianca is determined to prove to the press that she's not who they say she is, an overrated gold digger. Firefighter and former foster child Eddie Rice has always drawn the short straw in life. Now he's determined to help kids in need have a better future than he did, and when Eddie is selected to represent the fire station as Last Chance County's masquerade ball, he realises it's the perfect opportunity to secure the mayor's signature on a grant for a much-needed rec centre. But when a case of mistaken identity and a bribe lead to Eddie and Bia being trapped together in a fire, the pair must team up to escape and protect their future in the process. Silent Horizons by Chad Robichaux with Jack Stewart releases on the 27th of May and is published by Tyndale Fiction. He's gone behind enemy lines countless times before, but this time he's going alone. Foster Quinn is more than a former Force Recon Marine. He's a husband, a father, a faithful brother to his teammates. When one of them is killed during a high-risk operation to track down a dangerous arms dealer, Foster struggles to balance his roles as a dedicated family man and an elite warrior. Despite his inner demons, or maybe because of them, Foster can't walk away from his brothers. Then he gets the chance to step in where his best friend left off, assuming a covert identity in Iran that will get him close to the arms dealer and pave the way for a critical mission. On his own in a new country, he must carefully choose who to trust. An Iranian taxi driver, an American hunter, a British oil executive. One wrong move could spell disaster, not just for the mission, but for Foster. The clock is ticking. A team of Tier 1 warriors is set to plummet through the night sky in enemy territory. They've trained for this, but their success hinges on just one man. Following the Clues by Dana Mentink releases on the 27th of May and is published by Love Inspired Suspense. This is Security Hounds Investigations, Book 4. A search and rescue mission reveals a lethal secret. After K9 handler Cara Wolf witnesses her childhood friend Beau O'Connor survive a targeted hit and run, she's shocked to learn his mother's missing. And Beau, who can no longer recognise familiar faces after an earlier attack, can't shake the feeling these terrifying incidents are somehow connected. With the tracking skills of her blind bloodhound, Cara will help Beau locate his mother, but someone will do anything to sabotage their search. With the culprit on their trail, can they uncover a sinister plot before their rescue mission turns into a fight for survival? Submerged Secrets by Elizabeth Rees releases on the 27th of May and is published by Love Inspired Suspense. Beneath the water lies a truth someone is desperate to hide. When a raging flood inundates her small town, Olivia Moretti is horrified to discover the bones of a murdered woman in the waterlogged basement of her family's cafe. Even more shocking, her late grandfather becomes the sole suspect. Determined to prove his innocence, Olivia starts asking questions and soon draws the attention of an unknown enemy who wants to silence her. fire chief and business rival Cal Mackenzie comes to her rescue and steps in as her protector. But as the floodwaters continue to rise, and with a killer on their tail, they'll have to discover the truth before Olivia becomes the next victim. Attempted Mountain Abduction by Jessica R. Patch releases on the 27th of May and is published by Love Inspired Suspense. The only way to escape hitmen in pursuit is through the icy wilderness. Hired to protect a murdered tech mogul's daughter, undercover bodyguard Bridge Spencer never expects his ex-fiancée to blow his cover, while she's trying to kidnap the child. But before he and former CIA spy Wendy Dawson can figure out whose side they're on, they're attacked. Setting aside his heartbreak, Bridge has no choice but to team up with the woman who abruptly dumped him in a letter 3 years ago. Guarding the child from assailants who are after her father's top-secret technology is priority one, but in the frigid, smoky mountains, dangers are everywhere. The question is, which one is deadliest? Targeted Montana Witness by Sharon Dunn releases on the 27th of May and is published by Love Inspired Suspense. On the run from unknown enemies, staying hidden is their only chance for survival. After being attacked in her workplace, Gillian Welsh fears the worst. The mobsters behind her fiancé's murder have found her. Uncertain of her safety in witness protection, she turns to Sheriff Luke Mayfair for help. But clues point to an obsessed fan of Gillian's anonymous nightly podcast as her assailant. Now with potential threats all around, Gillian and Luke must seek refuge at Luke's family farm, but when the continued ambushes escalate to attempted murder, they must expose the culprits before they get to Gillian first. Standing Watch by Terri Reed releases on the 27th of May and is published by Love Inspired Suspense. This is Dakota K9 Unit Book 3. To protect an innocent witness, a K9 must sniff out a killer. When K9 Task Force Officer Zach Kelsey's estranged wife is attacked at a Mount Rushmore observation deck, he and his K9 Amber are quick to come to her rescue. He discovers not only that Eden, a park ranger, is carrying his child, but that she saw her co-worker's murder. As the only witness to the crime, Eden has no choice but to accept Zach's protection. But with a ruthless killer ramping up his vicious attacks, they must put their differences aside to catch the murderer before Eden becomes his next target. Missing in Texas by Virginia Vaughan releases on the 27th of May and is published by Love Inspired Suspense. This is Lone Star Defenders Book 2. Can she crack a decade-old cold case before the murderer silences her? The moment FBI agent Christy Williams arrives in Mercy, Texas, determined to solve her friend's disappearance 12 years ago, she becomes a killer's #1 target. Ignoring the threats on her life, she partners with Deputy Mike Tyner, the cousin of one of the chief suspects, and the last person to see her friend alive. As they work to investigate this cold case together, it becomes clear someone will stop at nothing to keep the past hidden. With time running out, can Mike keep Christy alive long enough to find justice for her friend before a murderer strikes again? Burning Hearts by Lisa Phillips and Susan May Warren releases on the 27th of May and is published by Love Inspired Suspense. This is Chasing Fire Alaska Book 1. Rescue, Danger, Devotion. This time their hearts are on the line. She came to Alaska searching for her troubled brother and found herself kidnapped by a dangerous militia. Jamie Winters will risk anything to rescue her brother Tristan, even infiltrating the militia's remote compound. But when she's abducted, there's only one man who can save her, Logan Crawford, the elite smoke jumper she's never stopped loving. Yes, Logan relocated to Alaska's Midnight Sun smoke jumpers to find Jamie and win back her heart. So when he learns she's been taken, of course he'll stop at nothing to bring her home safe. But when he accidentally leads the team into the militia's deadly trap, he's in over his head and hunted. Now wounded and on the run, Jamie and Logan must fight for their lives in a deadly game of cat and mouse. But the biggest risk of all is the sparks between them and the terrible cost of a second chance at love. In historical fiction, The Angel of 2nd Street by Barbara Tifft Blakey, releases on the 1st of May and is published by Barber Fiction. How can compassion be considered wrong? When life is weighed down by challenges, pillars of enduring hope and love are always waiting to be discovered. Ida Dempsey has grown up in a privileged life of luxury thanks to her aunt and uncle, although Second Street, where women of ill repute ply their wares, is off limits to respectable citizens. Her heart of compassion compels her to frequent the area, hoping to make a difference in their lives. Ida has also befriended Qi Xiao, a Chinese woman who keeps house for her family, but friendships between the whites and Chinese are taboo in Eureka. Ida tries to keep secret her forbidden compassion, but someone is watching and will use it against her. When Blaine Prescott meets Ida at a church picnic, his parents warn him away from any relationship with a young lady who has been seen on 2nd Street in the company of a Chinese woman, but how could such a kind-hearted, lovely young woman be anything but good? But when riots break out in Chinatown and Ida disappears, Blaine will do anything to find out where and why she has gone. A Wader with a Matchmaker by Jody Hedlund releases on the 6th of May and is published by Bethany House. After her brother's entanglement with an Irish gang threatens their family's safety, Elena Derach flees St. Louis and her troubled past, seeking refuge as a maid for the affluent Shanahan family. Elena's resolve to avoid romance is tested by the undeniable attraction she feels for Kiernan Shanahan, determined to maintain her position and the safety it provides. She vows to resist the pull of her heart despite the growing bond between them and their undeniable chemistry. In the wake of a devastating fire, Kiernan Shanahan sees a shrewd opportunity to invest in a clay mine and brickyard to aid the city's rebuilding. To secure his venture, he seeks a wealthy bride with a substantial dowry. However, the matchmaker he consults has different plans. As danger looms and Elena fights to keep her brother safe, Kiernan's protective instincts draw them closer together, but a future with him seems too far out of reach. It will take a miracle or a wager with the wily matchmaker to bring the unlikely couple together. Lady Maybe by Julie Klassen, the 10th anniversary revised edition, releases on the 6th of May and is published by Bethany House. One final cry of terror, and suddenly her world shifted violently until a blinding collision scattered her mind and shook her bones. Then the pain, the freezing water, and as all sensation drifted away, a hand reached for hers before all faded into darkness. In the midst of a fierce storm, a carriage carrying Sir John Mayfield, Lady Mariana Mayfield, and her lady's companion careens off a narrow cliff road, changing their fates forever. When the wreckage is found, Sir John is gravely injured and a woman discovered unconscious, wearing a valuable ring. As the woman regains consciousness in a strange house, she grapples with the fragmented memories of the accident, unsettling dreams of a child in peril, and a deep mystery tied to the ring on her finger. Surrounded by unfamiliar faces and haunted by a sense of foreboding, the survivor realizes she cannot trust anyone and must uncover the truth of what happened that stormy night, even as danger mounts and enemies conspire against her. The Pursuit of Elena Bradford by Anne H. Gabhart releases on the 6th of May and is published by Ravel. At 22, Elena Bradford has never met a man who made her consider marriage, but when her father dies and leaves the family deeply in debt, Elena becomes her family's only hope. Her mother uses their last funds to take Elena and her younger sister to Graham Springs, Kentucky, where people find healing by drinking the mineral spring water and healthy recreation through the many daily activities, including dances almost every evening. As her mother schemes to find Elena a wealthy husband, Elena finds herself drawn to two men her mother would never consider. Charming artist Kirby Frazier spends his days drawing and painting the guests, but his real mission is to find a wealthy bride to finance his dream to go west. Melancholy Andrew Harper has to come to Graham Springs in need of healing after a broken heart. When a beautiful young lady shows up at the Springs with no chaperone and a story that seems suspicious, nearly everyone is charmed and intrigued. But when an unexpected tragedy occurs, Elena, Kirby and Andrew will all be faced with decisions of life, love and loyalty. To Kiss a Night by Grace Hitchcock releases on the 20th of May and is published by Craigle Publications. When everything is going right, something must go wrong. Vivian Poppy's plans are working out quite well. She's run away from her family and the prospect of a horrid marriage of convenience and plans to spend her time writing under her pseudonym Lady Larkby, until she discovers the old Larkby title is not as dead as she thought. Yeoman of the Guard and recently knighted Sir Sebastian Larkby is stunned to discover a Lady Larkby that he does not remember marrying. Suddenly Vivian is left with a decision to relinquish her pen name, expose her true identity, and break Sebastian's dying grandmother's heart, or feign marriage to Sebastian to keep the title and fulfill the old woman's wishes. Every Hour Until Then by Gabrielle Meyer releases on the 20th of May and is published by Bethany House. This is Timeless Book 5. Gifted with the ability to time cross between Victorian-era London and World War II Washington, D.C., Catherine faces two lives fraught with danger. In 1938, amid the looming shadow of war, Catherine is invited to the London Museum as a guest curator to create a groundbreaking exhibit on Jack the Ripper. As she delves into her grim research, she uncovers a chilling secret. Her own sister is destined to become the Ripper's final victim decades earlier. In 1888, a race against fate, Catherine is assisted by her handsome childhood friend in hunting down history's most elusive killer. As they unravel the threads of mystery woven through time, Catherine must decide if she'll unmask the murderer history has chosen to hide, forfeiting a life with the man she loves to save her sister. A Lesson in Propriety by Jen Turano releases on the 20th of May and is published by Bethany House. This is Merryweather Academy for Young Ladies, Book 1. With her father dead, her fortune stolen, and her fiancé casting her aside, Miss Drusilla Merryweather's privileged life has been upended. She is left with only one option, to provide for her family by opening a finishing school in the allegedly haunted castle she's inherited from her eccentric aunt. However, her plan is immediately threatened by unscrupulous developers keen on claiming the coveted estate for themselves by any means necessary. Mr. Rennick Wittenbecker, a dashing architect with a tendency to charm his way out of trouble, is convinced he can protect Drusilla, but is challenged by her fierce independence. Yet when strange occurrences, walking suits of armour and unexpectedly ghostly visitors arise within castle grounds, Drusilla must decide whether to risk her family's safety and her school on the gallant architect who seems to have found his way into her heart. An Unexpected Grace by Tracie Peterson and Kimberley Woodhouse releases on the 20th of May and is published by Bethany House. This is the Jewels of Kalispell, Book 3. Can Unexpected Grace lay the foundation for a second chance at love? After a decade away, Parker Bennett returns home with a travelling troupe to perform a play based on Uncle Tom's Cabin at the Kalispell Opera House. Parker has relished his life on the road, but being home awakens long-buried emotions. When he encounters his first love, Johanna St. John, he can't help but wonder if there might be a place for him in her heart. Widowed for 3 years, Johanna devotes all her time to a demanding toddler, an injured father, and a successful millinery business. After the loss of her husband, she desires to move on, but reconnecting with her past love leaves her unsure of what lies ahead. Both committed to God's distinct calling on their lives, Johanna and Parker struggle to see how their future can unite, and when strange things start happening around their town, their second chance at a life together seems more unlikely than ever. Across the Crying Sands by Jane Kirkpatrick releases on the 20th of May and is published by Revell. In 1888, Mary Edwards Geritze is a cheerful, well-read, witty and confident young woman who spends as much time as possible outdoors on the rugged Oregon coast, where she and her husband John are making a home. The two are a formidable pair, working hard to prove up their homesteading claim and build a family. But as Mary faces the challenge of young motherhood and struggles with questions about her family of origin, she finds the fearless girl she once was slipping away. Life feels less like the adventure she thought it would be, and more like a daily struggle. When Mary loses the baby she's carrying and nearly her own life in the process, she finds an unconventional way to bring the joy back into her life by taking over a treacherous postal route. As Mary becomes the first female mail carrier to traverse the cliff-hugging mountain trails and remote crying sands beach, with its changing tides and sudden squalls, she recaptures the spark she lost and discovers that a life without risk is no life at all. In biblical fiction, Lion of Judah by Henry O. Arnold releases on the 15th of May and is published by Whitefire Publishing. The new king is crowned in triumph, but his pride proves to be a fatal flaw, and from out of his own house calamity falls upon him. Once a shepherd, a captain and a fugitive, David is now king. He left behind the dangers of life on the run and embraced the comforts of living in the palace. No longer known as the Giant Slayer, but as the Lion of Judah, King David enjoys the popularity and prosperity brought on by his victories. But peace in the nation of Israel has a double-edged sword. David's pride subverts his judgment, and his desires overwhelm his heart, leading him down a dark pathway. The king will go to any lengths to cover up his crimes, but disaster falls upon the house of David, bringing this broken and contrite king to cry out to Yahweh for mercy. Lion of Judah continues a tale of triumph and tragedy, deepest love and burning rivalries. The new epoch is giving a voice, and it is the song of prophets and kings. In contemporary romance, Capture the Moment by Susan Woods Fisher releases on the 6th of May and is published by Revell. She's ready for adventure, isn't she? Kate Cunningham is facing the opportunity of a lifetime. As a zoo photographer, she spent years photographing animals in carefully controlled environments, but now National Geographic has dangled an irresistible prize. If Kate can snag a unique photo of a legendary bear in Grand Teton National Park, they just might publish it. It's the kind of challenge Kate has been waiting for, and she's eager to prove herself in the wild. With more enthusiasm than experience, Kate soon realises that capturing an image of this bear isn't as simple as she hoped. Fortunately, she crosses paths with Grant Cooper, a seasonal park ranger who knows the terrain and the bears better than anyone. His tracking skills could be exactly what Kate needs to succeed, and it doesn't hurt that he's easy on the eyes. But they're not the only ones with an interest in the park's most famous bear, and his motives are far from innocent. A Garden Wedding by Rosie Lee releases on the 13th of May and is published by Waterbrook. Martha Garden is a mess, and everyone in the Garden family knows it. A successful physician, Martha is usually the source of the Garden family drama, but her heart is in the right place, sometimes. So the Gardens are pleasantly surprised when Martha mellows out after she begins dating O.G. Greenwald, one of the most eligible bachelors in town. As Martha's relationship with O.G. deepens, she thinks she's finally about to have the life she's always wanted. But when Martha attempts to intervene in a health crisis in O.G.'s family, she draws the ire of O.G.'s mother, Eve Greenwald, which jeopardizes everything. Suddenly, Martha finds herself on a journey full of challenges that force her to deal with her previous mistakes, reconcile her past, and forge a path forward. Will she be able to look beyond the superficial to find what she's really needed all along? No Place Like Home by Betsy St. Amant releases on the 20th of May and is published by Sunrise Publishing. This is Magnolia Bay Book 2. Magnolia Bay's development director, Cade Landry, would do anything for this town and his family. So when the mayor, who also happens to be his father, decides to retire, he talks Cade into running for his seat. But Cade is already up to his dimpled cheeks in the town's post-hurricane revitalization fundraiser, Magnolia Days, featuring a flashy Cajun circus. If Cade can't put the bay back on the map as a tourist town, he'll let the whole community down, and worse yet, his father. Rosalind Dupree is a famous aerialist with a secret, actually quite a few of them. Much to Cade's relief, she agrees to return to Magnolia Bay for the first time in years as a headliner for the Cajun circus. But neither her charming former school rival Cade nor her parents know she's broke, in debt and nursing a back injury, among other things. She'd love to move back to the bay for good, but the beloved sport that used to let her fly has become her cage. Despite her best efforts at resisting, sparks fly between Cade and Rosalind as they work together on the circus fundraiser. But when everyone's secrets are revealed and worlds collide, will Rosalind find forgiveness and restoration in a town being rebuilt? or will there never be anywhere to truly call home? Hearts Away by Shannon Dunlap releases on the 20th of May and is published by Craigle Publications. Cheeky septuagenarian matchmakers, the Shippers are on a mission to secure a dreamy Mr. Right for Abby O'Brien, a sunny, optimistic childcare worker for Monarch Cruises. She loves her job looking after the children of vacationing parents, but harbours one unfulfilled, to be a wife and a mother. With his shy 5-year-old daughter in tow, divorced elitist lawyer Spencer Randolph Masterson has anything but romance in mind. His goal on the MS Buckingham is to persuade his mother Daisy to leave her ridiculous cruise ship lifestyle and return to New Orleans. But Daisy isn't interested in life on land. Besides, she and her matchmaking posse have a marriage to arrange. When a secret from Daisy's past surfaces and threats of blackmail start flying, the Shippers must protect their own, while attempting to convince Spencer's scarred heart to weigh anchor and boldly set sail for a future with Abby. Sometimes You Stay by Liz Johnson releases on the 20th of May and is published by Revell. For digital content creator Cretia Martin, home is wherever her carry-on suitcase lands, and it's constantly landing in new places as she travels the world. She's never been interested in settling in one spot. After all, houses are just places that collect junk and tie you down. But when she literally bumps into local dog breeder Finn Chaffee on Prince Edward Island and all of the tools of her trade end up in the harbour, she can't exactly leave until she gets things sorted out. Finn is horrified by the part he played in the accident and offers to help, arranging for Cretia to stay with a friend at the beautiful Red Door Inn. The longer Cretia is forced to remain in one place, the more she discovers what she's been missing with life on the road, and the more she wants to see Finn and his business succeed. But helping him means staying put, the one thing she always swore she wouldn't do, and risking the only thing she's never put on the line, her heart. Meet Me on Lilac Lane by Andrea Christensen releases on the 27th of May and is published by Sunrise Publishing. This is Jonathan Ireland's book 2. He was her late husband's best friend, but for him she'd always been the one. Mia Jonathan Franklin has been living a nightmare for the last 2 years, ever since her husband and high school sweetheart died in a fishing boat accident, leaving her to care for her 2 young kids on her own. She's managed to stay afloat, but her husband's paltry life insurance money is gone, and if she can't find a way to support her family, she may lose the cosy cottage she and Troy had meant to grow old in. So when Mia is offered a chance to buy her own house for $1 if she can find business owners to move to Jonathan Island, it seems like the answer to her prayers. That is, until she learns the ridiculous quota required to complete the deal. She's in over her head until her late husband's best friend offers to lend a hand. Cody Hart has been haunted by survivor's guilt since the boating accident that claimed his best friend's life. Torn between his own dreams of reopening his family's fishing business and his desire to help Mia, the woman he has loved since their youth, he steps up to help. She needs him, and he's not going to let her down or let his heart cause her more pain. As Mia and Cody work together to breathe new life into the island's main street, their shared history and undeniable connection threatens to reignite long-buried feelings. Can they overcome the obstacles that stand in their way and find the courage to embrace a second chance at love, or will the weight of their pasts and the uncertainties of the future keep them from the happiness they both deserve? Holding On to Secrets by Lee Tobin McLean releases on the 27th of May and is published by Love Inspired. This is Canine Companions Book 33. Redeeming Past Mistakes, One Paw Print at a Time. To support his sister and young nephew, handyman Luke Johnson is in desperate need of a new job. His prayers are answered when Angie Anderson hires him to help renovate her property to house and train therapy dogs. Grieving widow Angie hopes to rebuild her life with a new sense of purpose, and establishing a therapy dog reading program is just the fresh start she needs. Soon unexpected feelings begin to grow between them, and will the secrets Luke's keeping threaten their chance at a future together? Mountain Homecoming by Susan Dietz releases on the 27th of May and is published by Love Inspired. This is home to Foxtail Book 1. An Unexpected Partnership, A Shocking Secret. Can the Truth Heal Old Wounds? After months away, architect Wyatt Teague returns home only to find himself named a guardian to his late friend's orphan twins, alongside his ex-fiancée Natalie Dalton. But caring for them together proves difficult. Wyatt's job is in the city and Natalie can't leave her family's apple orchard. As they vow to make this new partnership work, old feelings between them quickly resurface. But when Natalie finds out the true reason behind Wyatt's abandonment, can she trust him with the babies and her heart? The Family Next Door by Zoe Marie Jackson releases on the 27th of May and is published by Love Inspired. A little boy in need could unite two broken hearts. After her business goes under, Torrin Emerson is only too happy to return to her hometown and restore the house left to her in her mother's will. She never expects to find friendship next door. Matthew Lawson finds it difficult to connect with his young son after his wife's death. So when Connor is drawn to their fun-loving neighbour, Torrin, Matthew asks for her help. As they spend more time together, Torrin can't help but fall for the little boy and his father, but can they overcome past hurts to become the family they need? The Texans' Unexpected Home by Jolene Navarro releases on the 27th of May and is published by Love Inspired. This is The Ranchers of Rio Bella, Book 1. A tragedy brought him home, but will love make him stay? After losing everything in a devastating fire, racehorse trainer Kingston Zayas returns to his family's ranch to claim his inheritance and learns that he must first live there for a year. The only silver lining, single mum Abigail de Leon, the ranch's event planner, and her energetic son Leo. But Abigail's family wants nothing to do with any Zayas. Forced to work together, they unravel a tangle of secrets that changes everything Kingston thought he knew about his family, and most important, where he belongs. In fantasy and sci-fi, War Safe by Lauren Smith releases on the 6th of May and is published by Enclave Escape. Play, Win, Survive. There's one building on her island that Hallie has never been to, the Mercenary House. Perched atop a mountain, surrounded by an unnaturally evergreen foliage, the house is rumoured to be a breeding ground for criminals. Mercenaries are liars, cheats and spies, and maybe, depending on who you ask, killers. At the WarSafe headquarters in Seattle, Roscoe is beta testing the company's new video game. It's her job to track down glitches, but something is different about this one. Lurking behind the lines of malfunctioning code is a secret that threatens to drag her deeper into the game, forcing her to put her life on the line if she ever wants to come home. Worlds collide as Roscoe teams up with Hallie to uncover the island's secret and expose WarSafe's designs, but some mysteries are better left unsolved. As traitor after so-called traitor is revealed to be on their side, they begin to ask, could WarSafe's mission be critical enough to justify its cruelty? Shadow over Kiriath by Karen Hancock is re-releasing in hardback on the 20th of May and is published by Enclave. This is Legends of the Guardian King, Book 3. The description for Book 1, The Light of Iden, reads, Abram has dedicated the last 8 years of his life to becoming worthy to touch and tend the sacred flames of Iden. He expects to be blessed for his devotion and sacrifice, but on the eve of taking the vows that will irrevocably separate him from the life he was born to as Abram Caledon, fifth son of the king of Kiriath, he is betrayed by his spiritual mentor and sold into slavery by his brothers. Swept along by the winds of a new destiny, Abram is forced to compete as a gladiator. When the oppressed masses rally around his success, he discovers his suffering has moulded him into something greater than he ever thought possible, to serve a purpose he never imagined. So those were the Christian fiction books that I could find that are releasing in May. Let me know in the comments which of those books you think you would most like to read. The books I think would suit my personal taste the most would be Lady Maybe by Julie Klassen, A Lesson in Propriety by Jen Turano, No Place Like Home by Betsy St. Amant, and War Safe by Lauren Smith. So let me know which books would suit you the most, and we can have a chat about that in the comments below. If you are listening on the podcast, you can go to the blog or to the YouTube video where you can comment your thoughts. I hope you are having a fantastic reading week. If you would like to watch some more videos about Christian fiction, you can watch these videos over here. But until then, I pray God bless you and your families. Bye.